Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pro Wrestling Illustrated. I'm your host, Candice Cordelia, and usually you see me on About Face, Face Turn, and a bunch of other shows on PWI. But we're just going to kick things off with guiding you to what is going to be a fantastic season three of WWE LFG Legends and Future Greats. I am sitting here with the one and only Natalya. How are you today? It's a pleasure.
I'm good. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Absolutely. And it's wonderful to finally meet you. And I watched the first episode of season three and I loved it. And I love your involvement in it. Please talk to us, first of all, of just how this came to be, how you were approached, and all of that good stuff.
Oh, well, first of all, I was a fan of the show. I watched the very first season of LFG and I was a very big fan of the show from the get-go. So I was like, man, I want to do that. And so I was asking WWE, I was like, I really want to do LFG. And that's the thing is that sometimes like they don't know unless you let them know that it's something you want to do. And I ended up getting on with this latest season, and I was so honored that they came to me. Of course, myself, Kevin Owens, Bubba Dudley, Booker T. It's just been such a great team.
Yeah, and it definitely shows. Everyone seems very in sync for the first episode. And I would assume for the entire course of the season, we're going to see even more greatness from you all as coaches and the talent that you're coaching. Certainly, what has this opportunity taught you, you yourself being a present great and legend in the WWE?
I think it's just continued to teach me about staying open-minded and not judging a book by its cover, and that talent come from different walks of life. And I think that unique background that each talent bring to the table is what makes them special. I like working with people that, somebody has an indie background, or somebody is, somebody was a cheerleader, or somebody did track and field, or somebody was an amateur wrestling champion. I find it really fun to work with people that have different backgrounds. And I think staying open minded is the way to be. And I love how this season is a little bit more collaborative. It's the most collaborative I feel of all the seasons, that everybody brings something different to the table, whether it's myself, Bubba Dudley, Booker T, Kevin Owens. We're all just bringing something very different to the table. But who's to say that my way is better than Booker T's? Who's to say that Booker's ideas are better than Kevin Owens? Or that that Bubba's not right or wrong. We all can share our opinions, and everybody brings a unique perspective to the table. But at the end of the day, we all want to see the talent grow. And the other thing with this is that I also was reminded that not everybody is meant to be in this business. I say this to talent all the time, especially students that I train at the dungeon. Um, the brick walls are there for a reason. They are there to keep the other people out, the people that don't want this badly enough. So that's a famous quote from a book that I love called The Last Lecture. But I think it's so true as far as, people making it in professional wrestling. Not everybody is meant to do this. And the ones that are meant to do it, they will not only survive, but they will rise to the occasion. And I saw that within so many talent in LFG, like Nikita Lyons, who I saw so much growth in her. Kendall Gray, I saw so much growth in her. I saw so much growth in Callie Armstrong. Like, there's just been so many talent that I'm naming the girls because I'm a little biased, but I love the girls. I'm always going to fight for them. But even with the guys, there was a lot of there was a lot of Evander Holyfield's son. I was so impressed with him. I just thought he was phenomenal.
Mm. And I love that you stated that there are brick walls for a reason. And I that's really profound. I mean, for one of the talents we see on the onset, Kendall Gray, who you just mentioned, we see you coaching and mentoring her. And I mean, she's been one to watch recently and has just skyrocketed up in the company from what it seems like. And the sky's the limit for her. What was it like working with a talent such as that who has that amateur wrestling background, is so hungry, so ambitious, and just ready to work?
I think, Kendall has a very strong work ethic, which, you can clearly see that, like, that coachability from when she was in amateur wrestling. And so she has a great sense of body control. But she also has great attitude. Like, she has a really, really good attitude. I feel like she's very open to learning. She's very open to suggestions. She's very open to ideas. And she's not afraid of failing. And I think that's a really big thing, is that you can't grow without falling down. And that's also a challenging part of being in WWE, where a lot of what we do is on tape. I heard the other day Tiffany Stratton did an interview, and she's like, I had my first match 4 weeks into being signed by WWE. And, I think she said, Shawn Michaels said, do you have your gear? And she's like, yep, got it. I'm ready to go. And she's like, I didn't have gear. I ordered something on Amazon. But, I think that a lot of what makes people great is rolling with the punches. You got to be able to roll with the punches. It's not always about who's the strongest. It's about who can adapt to all of the changes that are in front of them. And so I think that Kendall Gray is going to do amazing, extraordinary work in WWE because she's adaptable, and I think it's so important. She's somebody that, like, her athletic performance is making her stand out. But I think once she gets into a really, really juicy storyline, it's going to help her rise to the occasion and really be able to showcase who she is. So we're on the cusp of seeing that, because I think she's just so talented and really one to watch, and one that I would love to get in the ring with.
That would be that would be a fantastic match, to say the least, to say the very least. During the season 3 and just being a part of this group, was there anything in any of the talents, whether it's Kendall Gray, Nikita Lyons, etc., that reminded you of yourself when you were just getting started in the WWE and working your way up?
I mean, I saw so many unique qualities in all of them. I think it's just about hunger, and it's about paying your dues. When you first get to NXT, it's important to understand that, like, this is very, very hard. If you are catered to and you are given all the bells and whistles right out of the gate, sometimes we can't find out who really is going to do well at this. If you don't love this, and you don't fall in love this, and you don't fall in love with this, and you don't work your ass off for this, too many of the wrong people will get in. And not everybody is meant to make it in this industry. You have to be the very best to make it, in my opinion. And being the best isn't just about who is the best in the ring. It's about who presents themselves as a professional, who presents themselves as a star, from their ring gear to the way they hold themselves on social media to the way that they are coachable, with all of their coaches, and how they are team players, how they work with others. I look at people after they come back from matches. How are they treating their teammates? Are they playing the blame game? Are they like, and I know we're all human, but, like, I'm really, really big on attitude. And I've said this to Coach Matt Bloom. I would way rather work with, and if I was in charge of hiring, I would be more inclined to hire somebody and more excited about pushing them. As we say in professional wrestling, when somebody gets a push, it means that they're getting like a little shot in the arm, to greatness. I would rather push somebody that has a great attitude and a strong work ethic than somebody that is naturally gifted, because your attitude and your work ethic are going to take you so much further than just somebody that's just got this raw natural talent. Now, it's awesome if you have this raw natural talent along with a great attitude and coachability and work ethic. That is a total package. Because, like, I was saying earlier to somebody else that I was talking to, that this day and age in wrestling, it is not enough to just be good in the ring. You have to be, that is only a small percentage of what we do. Being a team player, having a great attitude, outworking everyone, and how you present yourself, the way, even, like, I'm really big on self promotion. Not everybody is going to get the machine isn't going to get behind every single solitary person. It's impossible. So if you have it within your power with social media, if you're getting a match, let's cut a promo for it. Let's write a promo for it. I'm really big on, even with the character that I built outside of WWE, the new Nattie character. From the very first Bloodsport I did, I was writing a promo, cutting a promo, posting the promo, producing the promo about Miyu Yamashita. I was like, I've got to tell the story in order to sell this fight, so that when we have the match, everybody understands the story. If there's no story, there's no match. And so I try to teach that to new up and coming talent, that it's great to be really, really good in the ring, but be your own best advocate. And I learned that from Paul Heyman. Don't just wait for people to give you great stuff. Fight for your own stuff. Make your own stuff happen. So that you can keep rising up, and so that people around you, your bosses, your coworkers, your producers, the commentators, the guys that are holding the cameras for us, the people that are working to help bring us to life, that they are also advocating for you. They go, wow, I can't believe how much so and so is doing to build this persona and this personality, like all on her own. Those are the people I want to fight for. Matt Cardona is a huge example of somebody that didn't wait for anybody to do that for him. He just did it. And he's saying to even wrestlers on the indies, you guys can do it yourself. It's easy. Watch.
Speaking of up and coming talent, one of the things that we love seeing, and also speaking of social media, is how involved you are. You have the dungeon, you're training talent. We see clips of this on social media. It's fascinating to watch. What advice would you give to someone watching these clips that has dreams of becoming a pro wrestler and perhaps one day training with you and TJ?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I tell young and up and coming talent, or people that are new to the industry, if you love this, become a student of the game. Study everything and try to get as many reps as you can possibly get. And that's the biggest thing is consistency and reps and just finding a way to get those. If we don't have as many live events, for example, in WWE, that has not stopped Jacob Fatu from getting reps. Jacob goes to the performance center. He goes and comes and trains with us on his days off. He's finding any place that he can go. He's going to other wrestling schools where he's in other towns and traveling. He's going, we love having him at the dungeon because he's somebody that like he works so hard and he's in there sweating. Like he brings like 3 or 4 different shirts because he's just covered in sweat because he's been working so hard. I always say that to Jacob. I'm like, sweat doesn't lie. And I think it's about consistency and repetition and just building those reps, and more reps is what Paul Heyman always says. And I always think when Paul Heyman cuts a promo, he always starts with the same thing, which is what he says, repetition. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. It connects you emotionally with the audience. And then reps and consistency, they just give you confidence. And I look at somebody that I am very eager to work with. And she may or may not have been a guest at the dungeon. I will leave it at that. But Jada Parker, she is somebody that if I was to go, man, this is the one person at this very moment that I want to work with that is in NXT, it's Jada Parker. I'm like, she has a total package. Like, and that's what, as a talent for me, that's wrestled probably over 75 different women. I look at her and I'm like, this girl can cut a promo. Like when I watch her, like she makes me feel something differently when I'm watching her cut a promo on TV. I've also watched her fine tune her craft, and I love that she wants to keep learning and growing and doing that in different environments. And then she's been very open to feedback. Like she'll message me and ask me for advice, and then I'll give her like little bits of things that I think could help her. And I like watching her implement that into her performance. But like at the end of the day, what makes me want to fight her is that she has a dog in her. Like she's like, I want somebody that is going to bring out the FU in me. I need that. I need somebody that's going to push me. That's somebody that's going to knock me on my ass so I get up and fight. That's what the Nattie character really needs. But she's somebody that I feel like, man, I would love to like get in the ring with her and do that with her. And again, she's up and coming. I think she's so talented, but she's like one that I've really got my eye on and one that's done, so she's really had a cool background at NXT that I respect.
Yes, yes. Who else do you have your eye on, if I may ask as well?
Damn, there's so many great women. I'm really proud of Lola.
Mm.
I've been watching Lola kill it on AAA. She's a workhorse. She's somebody that just, she takes any little opportunity that she gets. She always has beautiful gear. She keeps her body dialed in. She's been working on her promos and working on just getting as many reps as she can. I was really proud to see her win the championship in NXT last week. And gosh, somebody that like I think Fallon Henley is very underrated. I think Lainey is very, very underrated. I think that when I think about like I had a match with Lainey, she wrestled. We had a match on Superstars, or sorry, main event. We back in the day we'd call it Superstars. Main event. She had a match on main event with Carmen and me, and I'm sorry, I think it was Maxine. Maxine was in the match. Anyway, long story short, she really impressed me. Um, she's a great base. Like she's really, really strong and just had like a really, really great attitude. And of course, like I think somebody that's been working hard to get to the main roster is JC Jane. Like I think JC brings she's so well rounded. JC can cut a promo, she can lead in the ring. She likes to dive into the role as a bad guy. And so if I was gonna have my own little dungeon fight club, I would pick JC and gosh, I'm just like Lainey and who else? Fallon. I would have those girls with me. I think that they just bring so much to the table.
Sign me up. I'm here for that. The Dungeon Fight Club.
I
I'm already
love a dungeon. I
excited.
would I would absolutely love to have a faction in WWE of women that want to kick ass, women that I can take under my wing. I think a faction like I think we're due. I think we're due on Raw to have a faction.
1000%. Well, you said it, so now it's you're manifesting it. As soon as you say it, keep it in front of mind. It's gonna happen. That's
Yeah, there's just so many. There's so many girls that I have so much respect for that have been working hard in the dark. Wendy Chu.
mm,
Sorry, I'm going on, but Wendy Chu is another one that she may or may not have been in the dungeon. I'm not gonna confirm or deny. But I have loved getting a chance to work with her. And we've trained at the Performance Center together as well. And she's somebody that, like, Wendy Chu is an underrated diamond in the women's locker room, and she's such a good leader. I would love to see Wendy Chu really, really get a chance to really showcase what she can do in an awesome storyline. So Wendy and Tatum too. Tatum's amazing. God, okay, you got me talking, Candace, about Tatum. Now I'm thinking Izzy. I'm like, oh my, there's so many girls. There's so many girls that I have so much respect for.
well, we'll leave that for another interview. I feel like I could talk about this with you for hours,
Me too.
which is amazing. But last but not least, question for you, Nattie. So we are pretty much seeing the machinations, which is a term you used earlier, of the behind the scenes aspects of the wrestling industry, especially in WWE and with shows like WWE LFG. Why, in your opinion, is this show important for fans to watch, particularly in this day and age within the wrestling industry?
I think the show is it's a cool behind the scenes look of how talent grow and how talent adapt and how some people under pressure turn into diamonds. Not everybody does turn into a diamond though. And so it's cool to see the different growing pains of people that are coming up in the industry. And I like that we want to see everybody succeed that gets hired by WWE, but we also learn that not everybody not everybody, it's not even so much physically, but not everybody emotionally can handle the demands of what it takes to be a WWE superstar because, this day and age, we're under more scrutiny and a microscope, even just with social media alone. That the ones that can take advice and feedback and the ones that are the most coachable are the ones that rise to the top. um Again, I can't go on enough about attitude. And so I think that people will get a really cool inside look about what it takes to actually make it. And it's going to be interesting to see, like, the superstars that you come in, you go, wow, that person has to make it, and by the end of the show you're like, ah, I can't believe that, like, they didn't get it. Or watching them go, or like at the start of the season you might go, well, that person, he wouldn't be my first pick. But then at the end of the season you're like, wow, I had no idea that he was going to be the one. And so I like that people are going to go on that ride with us to find out, like, the ones that are really, taking their careers and their lives and this thing called being in the WWE, they're taking it as seriously as ever. Because I've said this to many talent. They might not understand it right now, but everybody that I've ever known, everybody, 100% of the people that I've known that have been in WWE, they always, whether they're still here or whether they've left WWE, they always come out saying that it was one of the most special times in their life, that they grew the most, that they learned the most, that they found out the most about themselves and what they were made of from working in WWE. And my dad would always say that. He said, because my dad was a world class shot putter. When my dad was 18 years old, he was the number one shot putter in the country. My dad went on to play in the NFL, and then my dad, of course, ended up coming to WWE. Trained with my grandfather in the dungeon and got to WWE. A year before my dad died, somebody wanted to write a book about my dad, and they were interviewing my dad for this book that they wanted to write on him. And my dad started off his questions and answers with this journalist. And the guy was like, well, you did shot put and you did football and you did all these things. You're like a hybrid athlete. And my dad said, the most important thing I ever did was work in WWE. I will always, always, always be a wrestler. And those were the most defining moments of my life. And I thought that was really cool because I'd never heard my dad say that before. And so a year after he passed away, he got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. And I thought about those words and I said that in my Hall of Fame speech, that my dad said that the most important things, like career wise, that he ever did, from, being the number one shot putter in the United States, he was ranked number 5 in the world when he was a teenager. I thought that was magnificent. My dad playing in the NFL, thought that was extraordinary. But my dad said none of that compared to working and building his life and learning the most in WWE and as a wrestler. He goes, I'll always, always, always be a wrestler. So I think, we're going to see a lot of people really come and find themselves even at these very early stages on LFG. And it's going to be cool to see somebody like Kendal Gray get her start at LFG and to really like kind of break out, and have coaches going, get her on the main roster because of the stuff we're seeing at LFG. We want her on the main roster. So I think you're going to see a lot of that, and you're also going to probably see some people go through some hard times and tough truths that they have to look at themselves in the mirror and go, I don't know if I can do this. So I won't spill any more tea, Candace, but that's just a little tea spilling for you.
We love this. We love the tea. We love the tea. And we love you, Nattie. And thank you so much for jumping on with me and talking about this awesome show. And you're amazing, from what I can tell already, as a coach on it. Everyone, please, April 26th, Sunday, watch the new season of WWE LFG with Natalya Neidhart and company. And stay tuned for more exclusive interviews with PWI.